Hello everybody, today I have the pleasure to propose to you this new key 79 entitled Spiritual Ego. Well, before starting I just would like to apologize because actually I'm outside and there is a kind of wind. And by the way, for the symbolism I choose here because I'm in the southwest of Turkey where we have been living for a few months now, where I live by the way, I love by the way. And normally I wanted to be at the top of the mountain, but the wind was so strong that I renounced because of the sound and also because the camera was falling down. So imagine the disaster. Well, the symbol of here actually is quite interesting. And by the way, I choose also this this way of I'm a little bit aside because I just want to share with you this magnificent landscape. And normally upstairs it's even much more beautiful. You have an amazing view on the mountain, which is reaching 3,500 meters, which is quite high. And today, unfortunately, also we have some clouds, but it's like this. It's a part of the game. It is also probably for me to renounce to my ego, my spiritual ego, probably. And it's not a big deal at the end. What the most important within this video is not the form, but the content. So as a disclaimer, once again, if there is a little bit of wind, it's not, I think, a big deal. Well, by the way, the symbol of here, it's the mountain. Why I love here, and because it's very quiet. A mountain typically is really a metaphor of the ego. Why? Because mankind, most of the time, they want to reach high level and so on. This is almost in the DNA, in our DNA. And we can see and perceive it like this through the ego. But on the other way around, we can also perceive it differently. Because when you are on the top, at the peak of a mountain, you have a certain distance. You take some height, and then you have a more distance, bigger perspective. And also you can, when I come here, it's not necessary to be, let's say, higher, upper than mankind, of course, that is to be quiet, to let's say, to be at peace. And to be at peace means appeased. And, you know, this is the basic of spirituality. When we say in French, salut, in Arabic, salam, in Hebrew, shalom, salamat, selam, and so on, different languages, it is always we bring peace to people. Okay, and the peace is just the harmony. And this is a quest that we have through spirituality. Well, let's start with the framework, the structure of this series of videos. We'll start today with an introduction. Part one will be more regarding, let's say, the reason for being, the purpose of the ego, and of course, more focusing on spiritual ego. Second part will be some limits, some obstacles due to the spiritual ego. Third part, we will see some advice, some tips, some techniques to, let's say, to manage properly the spiritual ego. Fourth video will be a representation of the spiritual ego through a kind of parody, caricature, and to understand and to apprehend the phenomenon through, let's say, humor. Okay, I think humor is really important within the spirituality, and unfortunately, it's missing so much. I think so. I mean, currently. And the part 5 will be an example of case study, simulation of the spiritual ego, and especially through the social networks. So it will be not, let's say, shallow. It will be, simulation, but real, I mean, with a lot of deep messages and subtle messages. And then we will have an opening and a conclusion. Well, let's start with this kind of introduction. Actually, try to put this video on pause and think about this key question. What is concretely, the purpose of spirituality? Okay, I'll let you meditate on it. You can do pause and thanks a few minutes, few hours, few days, whatever, but try to figure out. Well, personally, I think this is just my point of view, and according to all what I gather through different traditions, cultures, and different currents of spirituality and religions as well, I think the first one is, as I said before, as a short introduction as well, is to be at peace. Okay, shalom, salam, and so on. This is the first site, okay, which is quite, to make it short, to be in harmony, to be happy. But I think this is a little bit limitative and a little bit in a kind of spiritual ego. Why? Because this is really personal. It's kind of, we could consider is selfish. Okay, I'm happy, so I don't care, give a damn about what's happening in the world, the wars, the injustice, and so on. I don't care. I'm just fulfilled. I reach harmony and so on. That's it. Okay? And this is some people, this is what some people reproach to certain Asian philosophies like Hinduism, Buddhism, and so on. I'm not part of them. I'm not saying that, but I can understand also. I would say that as for my concern, so I think this is a little bit like, not the ego, but it's quite personal and quite passive in quote mark. I think the objective, let's say the main goal, the main purpose of spirituality, it is a springboard, is not a finality, of course, it's not the diploma, it's not the medal. On this we agree, I think. But the main purpose would be, let's say, if I can afford, it would be enlightenment. I know it's a very strong word for a lot of Westerners because they think this is kind of private for mysticism, for the gurus in Nepal, in Himalaya, in Tibet, in northeast India and so on, or shamans and so on. Enlightenment, if you just observe the semantic, the vocabulary, etymologically speaking, there is the notion of enlightenment, there is light. Okay, light, what does it mean? It means literally that you are emitting light, you are within light, and your eyes have light. What does it mean? It means that you light, there is a double sound, by the way, in the language of bird, in the green language, the mysticism of the language in English, in the Shakespeare language, is you have light is double meaning. The first one is light, like the photons, but we are not talking about this light. We are talking about aur, nur in Arabic or in Hebrew, in Aramean, and so on, is the divine light, okay, that we can find in the Kabbalah for Muslim. El Nur is one of the 99 names of God, okay, of God. Well, so actually, light means this, light, but also weightlessness. Okay, weightlessness. What does it mean? It means that there is no load anymore. Okay. Compared to matter. Matter is like materiality, density, and also some problems. All right. So ascension, in a certain extent, is to be enlightened. But it doesn't mean that you're Superman and you're flying in the sky. Not at all. This is quite down-to-earth perception, by the way. But it means that you're, let's say, how to say, you are, let's say, you free up, you free yourself from the different troubles, the different trauma, the different negativity, the different low frequencies of fear, of resentment, and so on. And actually, this is just this, enlightened. It doesn't mean that you became Buddha or Jesus and so on. No. It's quite kind of simple thing to see. Okay? It's just to be full of high vibration, high frequencies, and high, let's say, vibration, energies, okay? So if we consider that, actually illumination arrives after one thing very essential, which is apocalypse. Apocalypse is not linked necessarily to Christianity or Judaism, not at all. Apocalypse in Greek means literally revelation, unveiling the veils, okay, unveiling unveiling the mask, unveiling the veil and so on, to see beyond the masks, okay? So apocalypse means literally that. This is exactly what you can find in Hinduism or also in Buddhism, the Maya. Maya literally is the illusion. We have different layers of perception, personal and also from the outer world. So illumination is the liberation of these veils, okay? So this is the Maya. First, from the outer world, okay? And second, from the inner world, okay? So an illumination, I mean, we can consider is not a finality neither, because you can always emit and receive more lights, okay? And the path is awakening. And once again, I'm always saying there is no diploma, there is no, let's say, grade, there is no medal and so on. For that, it's quite obvious, I know, but okay, a lot in the Spiritualego are a little bit funny regarding that. So in the previous series of videos, 78, we tried to see that through metrics, different realities. So we spent time with that to try to understand this notion of the influences of the veils from outside, from our world, okay, or economy and so on. In this series of videos, 79, we're gonna see this exactly, but personally, okay? For perceiving the liberation of the ego by understanding its functioning also, and the limits, but also obstacles, and also some advice, some solution for emancipation. To emancipate, okay, because we will see that ego is not necessarily bad when it's well managed, okay? And then the next series of videos, 80, will be, let's say, a dozen of videos, some pillars, the pillars of awakening in practice, okay? So we kind of summarize, and it will be the last series of videos. After that, yes, you hear it quite well, the ends of this, not this channel, because after that there is a question mark. I still don't know if I will continue, but for the moment it will be the last one, because I consider I made a cycle, it's finished, I don't have anything to say anymore. Also because I spend a lot of time for this. When I see, by the way, the feedback and the audience, I say to myself, okay, better to do something else, more practice and more, with people and so on, instead of virtuality things. And in parallel of that, you will have at the end more than 150 different videos, meaning thereby that if you spend once per week, you have for 3 years, and even if you do twice a month, you have for 6 years. So I think it will be enough for that. Or maybe I will change my mind at this moment, in a few months, and I will do a system of question and answers, and or I will give few conferences per year. I don't know so far, but I think it's also part of Spiritualego, the fact to be completely stick to something like this YouTube channel. It doesn't belong to me in a certain extent, and I will have done my job. I mean, considering I will have done my mission, my transmission, for which I will have spent quite a lot of time. Well, why is so essential to understand ego, and also by extension you will see spiritual ego? Because it's, let's say, affecting, limiting the individual and collective awakening, okay? It tends to lower the vibrations, and awakening can affect the frequencies of light, love, light with a capital letter, as I mentioned before, light, love, and unity. unity, YOUnity. Okay, the ego can make us stagnate, even regress, and or even shifting to the dark side, our inner dark side, and also to feed the negative egregores. And this is quite frequent nowadays with this, let's say, new boom of spirituality, and it can be dangerous because it can affect the complete spirituality in general and this complete phenomenon. Because I say many times that it's true that the inner path of awakening is personal, individual, but it has an effect, with the butterfly effect and the causality and so on, and the resonance effect, the ripple effect on the whole, on the globality. So each individual affects the whole. Okay, so each awakening affects the awakening of each other. Okay, so there is a mutuality. That's why it's so dangerous, and it can be also some quite helpful as well if it's well managed. To understand the ego in a passive way, we're gonna see. I don't want to give you like a straight away a definition, basic definition. I want to go progressively. Why? Because the way I'm gonna do it, it is more intuitional, okay, approach, which is touching not your ego anymore, but much more your higher self, your unconscious part, and your soul. If I give you a structure, structure definition, actually is more touching your mental, your mind, and your, let's say, your ego at the end. That's why. So here we go, egos. Okay, you really appreciate it. Well, one thing I would like to quote someone quite unknown is Austrian, okay, from 1930. He said the following: is Rainer, Maria Rilke. He who strives to comfort you, don't believe under his simple and calm words, which sometimes soothe you, that he himself lives without difficulties. His life is not free from pain and sadness, which leaves him well in below here. If he had been otherwise, he would not have found those words. So, what I try to tell you here, I'm not outside of the ego. I'm not outside of the spiritual ego. I have an ego. I have a spiritual ego, and I'm not objective. I'm completely subjective. Why? Because everything I share with you, even if I try to apply and to give you more angles of view, point of view, opinion, and so on, to have a holistic vision, holos means global, overall view. At the end, we are human. We are segmented. We are fragmented. It's a part of the game. So, indeed, I have an ego, and a strong ego, like everybody, and even spiritually. I don't know anybody who don't have. And or if they say, oh, no, I don't have any more, it means they have a strong one. You see? It's kind of basic. If you neutralize it completely, either you are a statue, or you are dead, and or you are a kind of God or angel. You see? So this is a part of the game, is the dynamic. It's like, I'm going to give you an example. I've been saying that it was few years ago, a Swedish couple, they say to me, in Sweden, the problem is that everybody wants to be consensual. So everybody agree and they don't argue, they don't have their arguments and so on. And they say to me, it's quite flat. She say in the Western, southern countries like in Europe, Spain, Italy, France, and so on, you argue, so you have your opinion, some fight sometimes, and it creates something at the end. Dialectic in Greek is dialogue, comes from this. It's mutual, like ping pong, with you debate, like, and thanks to that, you evolve on larger, wider perspectives. Well, The ego actually, concretely, is characterized, by our filters, our bias on the outward, okay, the external, outer world, outside world. I'll give you an example. If you observe this sky, blue sky, with yellow glasses, sunglasses, you will see it's green. If you take some red one to admire down the line, you will see it, let's say, orange, okay, and not not yellow. If you superimpose and you put 7 colors on your sunglasses, you will see everything in black. Okay, so you understand everything is question of filters. Okay, and these filters, concretely, this is linked to subjectivity on our physical and metaphysical, let's say, reality. Okay. Physical, our 5 senses, okay, touching, seeing, and so on. Okay, that's what we saw in the past for different ways. And even the 60th, which is your third eye, your intuition, and so on, even that, it's under filters. When you listen to some channels, mediums, and so on, they are not unanimous. They are not seeing the same things on the same ways. So what does it mean? They are also subjective. We are all subjectives. Well, the map, I say many times, the map is not the territory, okay? Virtuality versus, let's say, reality, okay? For example, the relief, when you have a view of satellites, if I take like a nails, okay, I calculate a superficie, it will be different always. Okay, you know, like everything depends. When I say the map is not the territory, everything depends on your perspective. You see here the valley and the mountain. You don't see another thing here. Okay, it's depend of your point of view, your angles, and so on, and also your scale, because this is not the same universe here. What you see. If you are ant, if you are a bee, if you are a giant, if you were a giant, for example, the valley, the mountain would be flat at the same level. Maybe it's a metaphor. When you path away, you take some distance of life. And even your small problems look like flat, actually. Okay, a word to once. The ego participates actively and passively to individual and collective illusion as well. We attempt previous series to explain through the economical, financial system, the societal organization, the nature in broad, and so on, and as an orchestration. Okay, and actually everything is a notion with the all, let's say, elements, information from this work. Then the actors are just interaction between egos. Okay, and then spiritual egos, but at first, egos versus egos, and so on. Okay, it can be complementary, can be collaboration. Of course, it is not necessarily only negative. Okay, so all information, all data shape and impact our intellectual, our psyche, our emotions, and our holistic application. Okay, in each situation, we should appreciate things entirely with an overall view, which is very difficult. I do agree. The ego, concretely, represents the kind of onion. Okay, you have different layers. You can take it out 1 layer, 2 layers. It's remain a onion, a big onion, medium onions, small onion, still onion. You see, ego. If you clean up a little bit, it's still ego. Clean up a little bit, and then at the end, there is only one point of singularity, nothingness. I mean, not nothingness necessarily. Soul, higher self. Okay. Well, the reaction with our distant environments, the media, the governments, economy, and so on, and the education that we have from our country, from our parents as well. All these institution laws and so on impact us, shape us. Okay, shape us like it's like the sea and the wind shape the rocks. Okay, the rocks on the beach. Let's say at a social dimension, we are shaped by the fact you were born somewhere. I was born in France, so the French culture impacts me. Even if I try to take a certain detachments, even the French language impact my way of thinking. I don't have the same way of thinking. I mean, through different languages, I can manage. Okay, and I swear to you, and we are probably closer with a Belgian guy from French part, and even within Belgium, for example, this typical example. So Belgium is split between French part and the Dutch part. The Dutch part are probably closer to Netherlands than the mentality than within the country from the French part of Belgium. You see, so it's the same from the culture, the language impacts us, shapes us. Okay, the fact I was born in 80. If I would have been born in 40, okay, during the World War, or 40, maybe in Argentina, I would not be affected, or in a country not in war, you see. But in France in 40, or France in 50s, after the rebuilding of Europe, or in 65 during the golden period, or in 2000 or 2024 or 3 and so on, I would not have the same ego, which is quite strange when you think about it. Okay. All these conditions, social, economical, cultural, educational, environmental, shape us as the sea, I told you, shaping the rocks. But then for the closest education, your parents and so on, you have 3 options: rejection, adhesion, and or acceptance. Rejection, acceptance, and or a mix-up, which is, let's say, adjustments. Okay, but it's up to us. Okay, for education, the pattern is always different. What does it mean? There is not, for example, my sister and me, we are completely different character, different perception, different behavior, mind, mentality, and so on. Same education. You see, so even for twins, you can have exactly this. You know, there is no miracle recipe. There is only miracle adaptation. The personal, I mentioned in the past, and individuality is personality. Okay, individuality, you have duality, means the separation, the fact that we are separate for the others. Okay, the other world and the others in general, the folk. And actually, persona means mask. Okay, so there are the different faces that we reveal. This is our wardrobe. Like I'm CEO, I'm father, I'm professor, I'm son, I'm a husband, I'm friend of mine, and so on and so forth. And we are all like this, and we are not behaving. We're not completely schizophrenic, but we are not behaving in the same way necessarily. Do we think through? Do you think by myself? Do I think by myself? Or do others express themselves through me? Question mark. I invite you to, by mimicry, by influence, by inspiration, by rejection, and so on. Think about that. It's extremely important to see how is shaped your ego. You know, take notes. To take attention to the mask of the masquerade of the egos allows already to solve the problem. Even if you consider there is a problem, there are problems. But it's, like you have a pain when you start to have a massage, or you do some punctions, you start to solve the problem. It's the same principle. The basis of spirituality has always been the same. Know thyself and you will know the secret of the universe and God. Okay? Know thyself. Know yourself, basically. Okay? It's really important to have this introspection through personal development or personal emancipation and through spirituality. Why is so important? Nobody think about buying a house without visiting it, right? You're going to spend all your life, almost great part of it. So you visit it. So why we don't take this time to know ourselves? It's very important question, because we are in an entertainment society, the TT-tainment, teats and entertainment, constitute. Okay, but it's really up to you to decide what you want. Loneliness, for example, is a good way to be alone sometimes, to impose yourself, allows you to know yourself. And also because knowing yourself, your ego, to manage it and so on, allows you to access to unconditional love. Why? Because the first person to love is yourself, not like selfish, of course not, but with the notion of vibration, okay? With, let's say, the concept of energy, because if you accept yourself, at least people will feel it. You will be more confident if you're not arrogant and so on. And there is a layer, I mean, there is a limit in between both. Of course, but this is extremely important, and the radiation energy affects also the law of attraction, the magnetism that you have, you know. Law of attraction, we treated this topic in the key 36, if you want to deepen a little bit more. And last, to understand the role of ego, the functioning allows you to know to free oneself, okay, to free oneself from it. First, with a diagnosis. Second, with cleaning and cleansing in a certain extent. Third, with desidentification. Okay. Fourth, with emancipation. Okay. And then with awakening and then illumination. All right. So I know it's a little bit conceptual. We will go further step by step. Okay. For you to soak a little bit, to infuse all this information, sleep on them, and also start to see the different masks of the masquerade, yours, for yourself and for other people. Well, I hope it will help you to shape the master key of your, to open up the door of consciousness, of love, of whatever you want. As you know, all the roads lead to Rome and to the door. Thank you for your attention, and see you very soon.